they just added two new features. Which spend on Sunday and you're there, and then they got approved two bottles of the twice a week you go to those parties. So then you're smart to say are you going that's one of
Good work. That's fine. Yeah, so it was in no, he was on the team. John had on why was it there? And that's the yeah, right there. I went to the service all cool around. Yeah.
Which one comes out the most?
Either one?
So, just for, because I've had the static picture.
I'll do this one.
No, it's on there.
I just want a different picture. So that something is
Sometimes you just put the temporary pipe in there, set it up for that. I don't know what you guys, I know you guys don't know.
Some people come and go, but we were the first people.
Good afternoon, everyone. If those of you who are standing would find a place to sit, and I apologize for interrupting everyone's conversation. But I can assure you when we're done, you'll get to talk again. How's that? Yeah, that's the nature of these things. My name is Ron Hunt, and I have been Lynne's pastor, I'm going to guess, for around 20 years, long time. And I'll speak out of our shared experience together in a few minutes. I'd just like to begin by acknowledging days like this are hard. And they're hard for different reasons for different ones of us in the audience. We have some Kleenexes if you need those. I see a box of them back there. So it's okay if you need to get up and go get a Kleenex in the middle of the service. We'll be okay with that. Several members of the family are going to share some of their thoughts today, and then later on, we're going to actually open up the floor, and anyone who wants to say something and share a memory or a story, we're going to give you that opportunity. And I just want to say that there's a reason behind that. And the reason behind all of that is one of the things that we know about human beings. And that is, when life gets hard, there are only two messages that we are actually able to process. And the first is when someone tells us that they love us. We are actually able to receive that and to process that. So at times like this, that's a really good message to give to anyone who's struggling with grief or loss or trauma. That's a great message. And the second message that we're able to process is, I'm here with you. In other words, in these moments of great trauma and grief, the one thing we don't want to be is alone and forsaken. So when we share our stories and when we gather like this, we are actually sending a very strong message to each other that we are in this together. And together we can make it through. So it's in that context that we're going to celebrate Lynne's life. And I'll begin by reading a summary of her life. And then after that, I'll invite the members of her immediate family to come up and share. And then her extended family, and then anyone else. If you want to share, please come to the front and I'll give you the microphone so you're not yelling at everybody out there. It's a little easier to hear and a little more pleasant to hear. And with that, we're welcoming Lynne's grandchild. How about that? Yeah. Lynne Marie Battaglia was born on September 13th, 1956, to Neil and Dorothy Farrell in New Jersey. But most of her childhood and youth were spent in Killeen, Texas, where she attended St. Joseph's Catholic Grammar School or Elementary School, Nolan Junior High School, and eventually she graduated from Killeen High School. On November the 12th, 1983, she married her sweetheart, Antonio Battaglia, with whom she shared 33 years of marriage. Along the way, they gave birth to 4 children: Vincent in 1986, Joshua in 1989, Alexander, most of you know him as Alex, in 1993, and Gina in 1997. The highlights of her life included not only the births of her children, but also, as a girl, she achieved the level of first class in Girl Scouts, which is the equivalent of Eagle Scout in Boy Scouts. That's a big deal. No doubt this is why she chose to become a scoutmaster for Joshua. She also walked the relay for life to help in the struggle against the cancer that she battled so bravely. Another highlight was a trip that she and the family took to Yellowstone back in 2010. But certainly among her biggest highlights were her baptism right here at New Life, the house building trip she took with our team to Mexico, all the work she did cooking for events here. If you've ever eaten a scone or a muffin cooked by Lynne, would you please applaud? It's got a yes. And the time she spent working behind the scenes with our financial advisory board. And finally, Lynne was also excited about being a grandmother. And although her first grandchild was born just days after Lynne passed, she died knowing that she was a grandma. And that meant the world to her. That was a big deal. Lynne was never short on personality. And she was a favorite of many who knew her. For that reason, she passed from this life at the age of 66 on November the 5th, 2022. And she is survived by all of her children, 2 of her sisters, and a sizable circle of family and friends. Yeah. The fact that all of you are here to celebrate her life speaks so well of how she lived. At this time, I'm going to invite the family members to come and begin sharing, and we're going to start with her oldest child, Vincent. So, Vincent, would you come, please? And you know what, Shannon? Wherever you are, would you bring me a box of Kleenexes up here, please? I think we might need that.
Probably not going to look up because it's going to be too hard, but I'm not a man of many words, as you all know. And I just want to say we aren't here to mourn her life, but to celebrate it, because she was a fighter and she wouldn't want us to be sad for her. She'd want us to be happy. And she loved everybody. She gave so much of her life to other people. And I'm just glad that she passed in peace. So thank you, everybody, for being here. Really do appreciate it.
Alex, you have something you want to say?
Afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for coming today. I appreciate all of you being here. Yes, as my brother said, this is to celebrate her life, not to mourn it. She was an amazing woman. She, as my brother said, gave so much. She gave more than she took, and she passed this world in peace, and happy that she's not in pain anymore. She's up there with Dad, and she's celebrating her life. I'll miss her dearly, and working with her, my right-hand person in the kitchen, I've lost that. That's very hard. But yeah, love her dearly, and thank you all again.
Hello, everyone. Lynne was everyone's rock. She never stopped supporting us. Whatever we were going through, she was just a call away. Many of those conversations ended with an invite to our next party. Mom, you were always the best entertainer. At the first Thanksgiving, I was impressed at all the love and attention you put into everything. You always cared about what we were going through and wanted to help in any way you could. We valued your opinion as we charted our own path to Phoenix. It was a big step and hard to leave, but you encouraged us, knowing it was the best opportunity for our success. 5 years later, and we are an electrician and a teacher with a newborn. We love you very much and wish you could have had Luca in your arms right now. Your spirit is with us.
And then I just have a short prayer I'd like to say. O my God, verily thy servant, humble before the majesty of thy divine supremacy, lowly at the door of thy oneness, hath believed in thee and in thy verses, hath testified to thy word, hath been enkindled with the fire of thy love, hath been immersed in the depths of the ocean of thy knowledge, hath been attracted by thy breezes, hath relied upon thee, hath turned her face to thee, hath offered her supplications to thee, and hath been assured of thy pardon and forgiveness. She hath abandoned this mortal life, and hath flown to the kingdom of immortality, yearning for the favor of meeting thee. O Lord, excuse me. O Lord, glorify her station, shelter her under the pavilion of thy supreme mercy. Cause her to enter thy glorious paradise and perpetuate her existence in thine exalted rose garden, that she may plunge into the sea of light in the world of mysteries. Verily, thou art the generous, the powerful, the forgiver, and the bestower.
Amen. Thank you. That's okay. It's right there. Thank you. Wow, whoever wrote that prayer was very picturesque, don't you think? That's awesome. That was a great prayer. Thank you. Okay, anybody else from the family? Yeah, come on up. Judy, we'll start with you, and then Diane, you're coming together. Okay, here we go. That's all right.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm the big sister. Thanks. Okay. This is hard.
Very hard for both of us. But we appreciate it. I see the sea of folks.
That's what I'm doing. I'm looking.
Oh, God. Y'all are beautiful. Sorry, I'm from Texas. Love ya. Howdy.
Anyways.
Go ahead.
I just want to celebrate her life. I was there when she was born. I remember the nights that I took care of her, the days that I took care of her. I have so many wonderful, wonderful memories of her. She played the organ. She was very proficient at playing the organ.
Was she ever?
Oh, man.
She put it all.
Yeah. And she was so smart.
And at the pageant, she played at the pageant. I forgot about that.
Yep, see all these.
All these memories are coming back to us. I have a few. She played puff football, busted a thumb. Mother never let her back out on the football field, but she did. She made a touchdown with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she ended up in San Francisco
With you.
living with me, and that's where she helped me with my two daughters, and I'm sorry. She was just such a support. She was a support. I know she was a support here, but she helped me stay
on an individual basis. She was wonderful for each and every one of us. I can see that.
She was always there. Mm-hmm. She was always loving and giving. She was a wonderful, wonderful person. and I will miss her so very much. She was my person. She was going to be in rocking chairs with me. So she's in her rocking chair, all right. But my rocking chair is there with her. And so one day I'm going to see her again.
Yeah.
And she was amazing. So, and all of you that from the church that she loved, and all of her clients that she just adored. Always, I miss talking to her about work. I miss talking to her about her love of the Cowboys.
Oh, yeah. Blue and white in a sea of red. And black, sorry. Yeah.
It's quite all right. Yes, and she loved basketball. I love baseball. And so I would always hear about her basketball stuff, and so now I watch basketball for her. So it's so weird. I love it. I know.
I love that.
And I root for her team as long as it's not playing our team.
That's the truth.
Yeah, it is. So I just want to remember her for who she was. The best. The absolute best. She loved all of us. She loved her children. She loved her family. She loved the church. I was very thankful. I was very, very thankful for Ron and the church.
Oh, yes.
Because it centered her.
It did.
It brought her back to where she really wanted to be.
And it did. It put her at peace, and it made her very happy.
Yep.
She talked so highly of y'all all the time.
Yep.
We'd have long conversations while she was driving home. We would be on the phone from wherever she was till she got home, and all of y'all were in great support. She was so pleased to be a part of the family. This was her family. She loved y'all so much and really appreciated you.
Oh, Laura. Sorry, don't mean to do that. It's just, I see the people that I love and that she loved, and they're all here.
Yes.
All of you.
It's wonderful to look, and it's wonderful to see, and it warms our heart, and it fills us with joy.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So hopefully we can all remember her in such fashion.
Okay.
You
I
got a
just
couple things?
I wish to say, whoa. Can you hold my phone for
I
a
sure
moment?
will.
Okay. First of all, let's remember her beauty. A very beautiful woman. Never felt that way, but I sure saw it every time I saw her. My first read is a passage from John 14:1 past 3. Do not let your hearts be troubled. You believe in God. Believe also in me. My Father's house has many rooms. If that were not so, would I have told you that I am going there to prepare a place for you? I will come back and take you to be with me, that you also may be where I am. Okay.
Can I say something?
Yes, you can.
One last piece. One thing I think about a lot now, she knows all the answers.
Dang it, she does.
Yeah.
Well, then this is going to work out perfectly.
And she learned them before you.
Yeah. He had to say that.
Absolutely.
He had to say that. Okay.
Are you good?
My special star in heaven, I hold you close in memory, even though we are apart. Your spirit will live forever within my broken heart. My heart still aches in sadness.
Where is it?
And secret tears still flow. For what it meant to lose you, no one will ever know. In heaven we shall meet again, where farewell is never spoken. We shall clasp each other hand in hand. in the class shall never be broken.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you. I could probably talk on.
I have a most unexpected story to tell you in a little bit about how Lynn found our church, which became so life-changing. Great story, and I love telling it. So, anybody else have anything that you would like to come and say? Okay, please come. I get it. Well, in this case, threes.
You know, Mom always believed in odds.
Oh, nice.
Perfect.
She always said whenever we put stuff on a tray, I'd put 6 things on a tray, and she'd always take one off and go, no, it had to be 5.
Me too. Is this working? Oh, I hate this. Oh my God, that makes it even harder. Okay. So we're the nieces. Higher. We're the nieces. We got lucky. My sister Alyssa and I, and then Jenny, who's my wife, and got adopted by Lynn too. But Alyssa and I were lucky enough to be raised by Aunt Lynn and then Uncle Tony, and they were the definition of an open door, an open home, a free meal. You didn't have to need something specific, and they could be busy or not, just come in, be a part of their family. There was always a place for us, and there's many, many moments in our life that we needed that. So we got lucky enough to be the first kids raised by them. And then we got to be a part of our cousins. Growing up to be like Aunt Lynn for me was one of the most flattering things people would tell me. I would do anything to be, even in her reflection, her service to everybody, her giving nature, her strength, her ability to be glue for anyone who needed a home. She took in all orphans. Many holidays had people that now were friends. I would show up and all of a sudden I'd look over and my girlfriend Heather would be there. Oh, you're here. That's how she took everybody in. It was home. And then I think in terms of a silly is even down to the very end, when she couldn't really even say anything, she and my mom are in the hospital getting into a debate about church religion and spirituality. They're fighting it out as she's trying to leave. I actually had to stop them. They were the perfect odd couple. So, to represent the side that actually bridges all of us, and if you know Aunt Lynn, this is totally what she would say. We can put that all down and go with this. I meant what I said, and I said what I meant. An elephant's faithful 100%. And this is what I'm carrying with me now, is don't give up. I believe in you all. A person's a person, no matter how small. So, I'm done. We done? Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. As I said earlier in the summary of Lynn's life, Lynn was never short on personality. She lived and painted the canvas of her life with broad strokes and bold colors. It was my pleasure to get to share life with her for nearly 20 years as her pastor. Ours was a deep friendship that included a number of mountaintop experiences and a few valleys as well. Our paths first crossed when Lynne and Lori Chatterton were chaperones at a scouting camp years ago. Lynne and Lori stayed in the same tent, and one night they both climbed into their individual sleeping bags, pulled out their flashlights, and began to read. Lynne broke the silence. "Lori, what are you reading?" Lori replied, "The Bible. What are you reading?" There was a profound and momentary silence before Lynne answered, "The history of prostitution." True story. You can't make this stuff up. Both women laughed at the irony of that, but a friendship was born that night that would change both of their lives. And in the end, mine too. Both had grown up in the Catholic Church, and both really valued the faith they got there as children. But both wanted something less ritualistic and more personal for their adult faith. Lori shared that she had recently begun attending a church that was friendly, open, non-judgmental, and it was definitely stimulating and growing her faith. So she invited Lynne to try attending with her. The next Sunday, Lynne showed up, took her up on that invitation, and she just never quit coming to New Life after that. Oh, that was such a wonderful thing. That whole experience is actually part of a great legacy that Lynne leaves behind. You see, Lynne was a doer. While others talked and were hesitant to get involved, Lynne wasn't. It wasn't a surprise that Lynne took Lori up on her invitation the very next Sunday. My experience with Lynne is that Lynne never put off doing the right thing. I loved that about her. When she and Alex were cooking for a church event, they were never late in getting things prepared. They usually gave me a planned menu well in advance. She and Alex often did a practice run through each of the recipes a week or two prior, just to make sure the tastes, the textures, and the presentations were spot on. This is how Lynne rolled in life. And it's a beautiful part of the legacy she leaves us. If you knew Lynne, you knew she was responsible. In the nearly 20 years of sharing life together, I can't remember a single time when Lynne didn't do something she was supposed to do. I thought it was so cool. I said what I meant, and I meant what I said, right? Yeah. She lived an amazingly busy life, but she never hid behind that busyness to excuse being irresponsible. If she said she would do something, she did it every time, and virtually every time it was done on time. Lynne was one of the most unselfish and caring people I've ever known. Life was never about her. It was always about others. She would help anybody, anywhere, and at just about any time. She found great joy in serving others. I often think That's what got her out of bed every day. In her cancer, she never complained. I never heard her ask, "Why me?" Her faith was strong. And from what I could tell, she never thought she got a bad deal in life or that she deserved better. That didn't mean life was easy for Lynne. The bumps in her road were often big and deep. And there was never usually a shortage of bumps either. And yet, she loved to laugh. She often put a smile on her face and just kept moving forward, and I can still hear her say and look at me and sort of turn her hands up like this and say, "What are you going to do?" There's a passage in the Bible that I think sheds great light on Lynne's life. And if you got one of these prayer cards, it's actually on the prayer card. And as we close this service, I'd like to walk through that passage as seen through the context of Lynne's life. It's the 23rd Psalm, and I'll read it in short sections and comment. It begins, "The Lord is my shepherd." For Lynne, that was a non-negotiable. Nothing Lynne ever encountered in life could ever get her to wander from that truth. No matter what happened, the Lord would always be her shepherd. The passage goes on. "I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul." Lynne believed this with all of her heart. She saw herself as blessed and cared for by her shepherd. "He leads me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake." Lynne believed that the way of Jesus was always the right way. And she did her best to actually walk in that path. The psalm goes on, "Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will not fear evil because you are with me." As I sat by her bed in the hospital up in Santa Rosa and held her hand and visited with her about her coming death, I asked her if she knew what was happening and if she was afraid. She told me she knew. And she said, "I'm not afraid." Even in this most challenging moment of her life, her faith didn't falter. It's as if she had taken God by the hand, and she knew he was leading her through this valley of the shadow of her death. Yes. The passage goes on, "Your rod and your staff, they comfort me." The gentle tap of the shepherd's rod on the back of a sheep always let the sheep know that the shepherd was near. For Lynne, the gentle nudge of God's Spirit always let her know that her shepherd was nearby. And that's all the comfort that she needed. "You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies." This passage is so fitting for Lynne. Lynne loved to cook great tasting food. I believe that food was one of Lynne's love languages. Don't you? Yeah. And in this passage, God was speaking her language. You prepare a table before me. When life gets hard, when there's opposition and struggle, God finds a way to prepare a table for his child. I've always figured that any table that God prepared, it's not yogurt and granola. It's a feast, right? It's not you prepare a snack for me in the presence of my enemies. It's a whole table, right? Yeah. Even in the midst of hardship and great struggle, Lynne found a way to enjoy God's goodness to her. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. In Scripture, anointing was always done to indicate God's approval and affirmation. Lynne was human. That's code for not quite perfect. Okay? And yet, in my conversations with her, I could tell she always felt God's love for her and his approval of her. It was beautiful. And perhaps that's what enabled her to be so loving and approving of those around her. She looked for and found the good and the best in all of us. Now, I love how this psalm ends. And it is perhaps the most fitting tribute we could pay to Lynne. Here's how it reads. Surely goodness and mercy will follow me all the days of my life. Here the psalmist is referring to the trail we leave behind us in life, the essence that follows us. As I look at Lynne's life, I can say without reservation that she left and leaves behind her a consistent trail of goodness and mercy. She was good, and she did good. She extended mercy almost without limit. She would forgive again and again. How different would our world be if all of us were to leave behind us every day a consistent trail of goodness and mercy? Well, that's the legacy Lynne leaves us today. On her behalf, I'd like to encourage each of us to embrace her legacy by choosing to leave our own trail of goodness and mercy. The psalm finishes with a great statement of faith that I think will be comforting for all of us. Or as they say in Texas, all y'all. Here's the promise. And I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Diane said to me before we got started today, she goes, Lynne was my person. We were going to grow old together and sit in our rocking chairs. She goes, oh, I guess I won't do that. I said, well, not here. Yeah, I think you will sit in your rocking chairs together. See, here's the truth. Lynne took up residence in the house of the Lord on November the 5th. That's where she is right now. She's living in God's house. She's enjoying the big meadows in his yard. She's drinking from the pure water of the springs where God lives. She's eating at the table he's prepared for her. She's basking in his eternal approval. And I'm pretty sure she's still leaving a trail of goodness and mercy. Well, that is, if mercy is actually needed in heaven, and I'm not sure that it is. But the goodness part, I'm sure, is there. I would like to close with a prayer. Loving Father and Shepherd of our lives, we're always comforted when we come to you. Thank you for every day of life you gave Lynne in this world. And thank you for the life you're giving her now in your house in eternity. Your promise of eternal life gives us great comfort as we walk through this world riddled with struggle and death. We're happy to know that there's a life beyond this one and that the best is yet to come. Thank you for giving Lynne to us for a while. Thank you for investing in her the beautiful gifts and talents she used to serve all of us. She was a wonderful blessing in our lives. She encouraged, supported, and inspired us in so many ways. And we really miss that already. We have two favors to ask of you today. First, would you please give a message to Lynne from us? Please let her know how much she is loved, how grateful we are to have shared life with her, and how much she is already missed by all of us. That would mean the world to us. And second, would you please be near us today? We want to feel your presence with us, that we are not just trying to walk through this life on our own. Would you please comfort us in our grief? And as our tears come, would you please meet us in our grief and let us know that you grieve every day with your children? You are grieved with the struggle, sickness, and death that are part of this life, and that eventually you'll come to our world and you'll set it all straight again. Even as we make these requests, we make them in the context of great gratitude. You are amazingly generous and gracious toward us. We trust you with Lynne, and we look forward to the day when we join her in your house. In the name of your Son, Jesus, we pray. Amen. Thank you so much for coming today. There are some goodies out in the lobby. Please hang out with the family and share your individual stories with them. It will mean the world to them. And if we will, well, there is an old principle that goes like this. A shared joy is twice the joy, but a shared sorrow is half the sorrow. Let's go divide the sorrow. God bless you. Thank you so much for coming.
Expose on Ben King was probably one of the best.